Turning attention now to Donald Trump, who is on a visit to the UK. But guess what is actually now overshadowing that entire visit? That is Jeffrey Epstein. And there are now these images that have been put on the castle where Donald Trump is going to be staying, with a lot of protesters registering their protest as far as Trump's UK visit is concerned. The shots that were shown shortly before Trump's arrival in Britain included the president's mugshot, portraits of Epstein, and that is something that may dominate British headlines. But beyond that, there are a bunch of large investments that are also likely to be finalized. That includes £5 billion in terms of AI being a key area where they would be focused on, and a data center as well in that region. But as far as Donald Trump is concerned, there you can see that image. That is likely to dominate headlines, and how much of that is going to overshadow the significance of this visit. Let's get in Professor Scott Lucas to talk more on this. Professor Lucas, whenever there's Donald Trump's visit to the UK, it gets a lot of headlines, but maybe for all the wrong reasons. That mugshot is all that everybody's talking about. What about those billion-dollar investments that he's hoping he will finalize?
Well, it's a battle for the narrative. I mean, let me give you a different headline rather than Donald Trump's visit to UK, which is factually true, which would be convicted felon, sex abuser, fraudster, visits UK. Because Donald Trump is all of those, but he also happens to be the president of the United States. I mean, that's why he's there in part to show himself off. So do you have the focus not only on Epstein, but on Trump's very, very checkered past? Or do you have the focus, which is what the UK government as well as Trump will want, which is, oh, look, we have these technology deals over AI, over chips, over nuclear energy. This shows that despite Trump's tariffs, and despite his fairly chaotic approach to foreign policy, including the threats, by the way, to pull back from the UK's security, that everything is alive and well. And we don't know how it will play out here. I mean, we don't know if Trump will play nice. He was actually what we call rage tweeting at 3:30 this morning, UK time, about the US courts, about US judges. But the UK is pursuing damage limitation here. They want to limit the Trump tariffs, as India does, of course. And they also want to limit
I'll ask my director to increase the audio there, because I really want to hear some of those pearls of wisdom that you're actually giving right now. But the other thing I want to focus on is that there is a trade deal that has been finalized. And there's also a sense that the US-UK relationship, barring the initial hiccups that it saw when Donald Trump came into Oval Office, has almost recovered from that initial hiccups. How do you see the lasting impact of this visit right now, from a political point of view, from a strategic point of view, and of course, the billion-dollar investments that are likely to be finalized?
Again, I stress it's not recovery here. It's actually damage limitation. And I say that for two reasons. One is that remember that the UK still has tariffs of at least 10% under the so-called framework with the United States. And tariffs hurt American consumers, American manufacturers, but they hurt UK companies. And that framework has not been turned into a deal. So the 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum still remain. And in fact, talks over them collapsed this week. So that threat is still there. And then there's another threat, which is that the Trump camp, Trump may not say it himself, but there are those around Trump who are in the UK who are promoting the opposition reform party. This is the hard right party of Nigel Farage. And they have for weeks, months, been saying he should be the one in government. Now, do they continue to do that and maneuver behind the scenes? Or again, do they play nice with the current Starmer government?
All right, we leave it there. Professor Lucas, we're going to have this chat again after that visit concludes, to identify what were the specific areas where the US-UK relationship made progress, even as those British headlines are going to be all about that mugshot of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Let's leave it there.